How's it going, my peeps? It is now time for the TNA Turning Point 2012 results / highlights and review video. I'm gonna go over the results of the show, give you guys, some of the highlights of the show in my opinion, and my review of the show. So, the show started off actually with Taz in the ring talking about Hurricane Sandy, and then he introduces Bully Ray and a radio personality called Buckethead. So anyways, they come out, and then the Buckethead guy gets on a microphone, and he says they're attempting a world record or a Guinness World Record, and that Guinness World Record is the most text sent on a pay-per-view. So he tells the crowd to grab their cell phones and text like Red Cross to some number at the count of 3, and that's pretty much it for the beginning of the pay-per-view. And then show a promo package, show a promo video of Jeff Hardy and Austin Aries, followed by our first match, which is Samoa Joe versus Magnus in a no disqualification match for the TV Championship. They end up putting on a great match, but it was more of a great match than a great no disqualification match, since they only used a steel chair. The only real chair involvement or whatever was Magnus throwing a chair at Samoa Joe's head and then attempting to do it again, but being unsuccessful. Yeah, good match. Joe actually kicked out of 2 diving elbow drops from Magnus, and Joe wins the match after he hits a muscle buster. It goes for the 1-2-3, but actually Magnus kicks out of 2, and then once Magnus gets up, he gets in the corner and he's like, "Come on, bring it." And he actually gives Samoa Joe 2 middle fingers, and then Samoa Joe just slaps him a couple times, and then locks on the Kokina Clutch, and Magnus passes out, so Joe wins the match and is still the TV champion. We then have Jeremy Borash backstage with ODB, and she says she doesn't even know if there's going to be a match or a mixed tag team match tonight, since she can't even find her husband, Eric Young. But then he comes up to them, and all is well and good, and then he says they're the power couple, blah blah blah. And then we move on to the actual matchup, Tara and Jesse versus ODB and Eric Young. They have an okay match, I guess. ODB and Eric Young win the match after ODB hits a scoop slam on Jesse, followed by a top rope elbow drop from Eric Young for the victory. So I was kind of surprised there. I thought, Eric Young and ODB were going to lose, since I'm hearing that Eric Young is leaving, but maybe that's not true. So anyways, yeah, ODB and Eric Young win the matchup. And then you have Jeremy Borash backstage with James Storm, talks about the 3-way match tonight, and says nobody's more prepared for this match than him. And he says whoever he pins tonight, sorry about their damn luck. We then had the X Division Championship match. Joey Ryan came out first, got on the microphone, and told Hulk Hogan that he's underestimating him, and that him and Morgan don't answer to anybody, especially Hogan. And that he told Morgan to stay in the back, not because Hulk Hogan told him to, but because Hogan is underestimating him and he doesn't need his help. RVD then comes out, and they actually have a pretty decent match. And Rob Van Dam actually kicked out of Joey Ryan's finisher, which is called the Mustache Ride, which is a top rope swinging neck breaker. RVD kicked out of that. In the end, RVD hits the 5-star frog splash for the victory. And then he celebrates on the stage, and Matt Morgan comes out, hits the carbon footprint on Rob Van Dam, taking him out. And then backstage we have Jeremy Borash with Joseph Park. He says he's a bit petrified, with the match tonight, and he hopes Sting gets better. And he says, yeah, he might get his butt kicked tonight, but in the end, he's going into the ring as a man and coming out as a man. Now, moving on to the matchup, it was a pretty fun match. In the beginning, I thought it was kind of boring. It was mostly Joseph Park just running away and DOC running after him, and Joseph Park ducks, and then DOC hits the corner, the turnbuckle, or the steel post. In the beginning, I've got to say it was pretty dumb, but towards the end, it kind of started being okay. You had Joseph Park running funny to the ropes. Eventually, DOC busted open Joseph Park, which made Joseph Park rage, and Joseph Park hit the black hole slam, went for the 1-2-3, but DOC kicked out. And also at some point, Joseph Park hit DOC with a steel chair on his head. The referee had his back turned, so he didn't see that. Joseph Park went for the pinfall once again, but the Director of Chaos kicked out. In the end, though, DOC hits a chokeslam on Joseph Park for the victory, but after he wins, he keeps on attacking Joseph Park and punching him while he's down, but Bully Ray makes the save and DOC runs away. Bully Ray then picks up Joseph Park and raises his hand, and then we have Borash backstage with Bobby Roode. Basically, Roode says that tonight he gets back in the main event scene, and he's going to be one step closer to regaining his World Heavyweight Championship. And then we move on to the World Tag Team Championship match. Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez versus Christopher Daniels and Kazarian. And as always, Christopher Daniels and Kazarian come out with Daniels dancing to his entrance theme song. So the match ends up being pretty good. In the end, Chavo and Hernandez win the matchup when Hernandez puts Christopher Daniels up on his shoulders in the electric chair position, and then Chavo Guerrero jumps up from the top rope or top turnbuckle with a crossbody for the 1, 2, 3. So still your tag team champions, Chavo and Hernandez. And then JB's backstage with AJ Styles. AJ says he hasn't been champion for almost 3 years now, and that's all the fuel he needs to beat Roode and Storm tonight. He says after tonight, a new chapter starts for AJ Styles, and it starts with AJ Styles becoming the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Now for the actual matchup, it was a great triple threat match. AJ dominated the beginning of the match, taking out both Storm and Roode with a move from inside the ring to the outside, and continued on beating up both of them. Eventually, all of them got some good offense in. And at some points, actually, Roode and Storm double-teamed AJ and went for a double suplex, and they hit it. After doing that, it looked like they were going to go for the old beer money, taunt. But Roode went for a clothesline on Storm, which Storm kicked Roode's arm and then hit a Russian leg sweep on him, went for the pin, but Roode kicked out. In the end, Roode was going to go for the Fisherman suplex on AJ, his finisher. But Storm got in the ring really quick, hit the jumping double knee backbreaker, aka the backcracker or whatever, and then hit a super kick, the last call super kick on AJ for the 1, 2, 3. So Storm wins the match, he gets a title shot, and AJ Styles loses. He's the one that gets pinned, so he doesn't get a title shot until next year's Bound for Glory. We then have Devon versus Kurt Angle, which was a okay match, I guess. It looked like Devon was going to win after Aces and Eights came out and they were like surrounding the ring and distracting Kurt Angle. And then Devon hit a spear on Angle, went for the 1, 2, 3, but Angle kicked out. And then Angle put the ankle lock on Devon, and Devon tapped out. Right after he tapped out, Aces and Eights went inside the ring, and Kurt Angle ran outside the ring, running away from them, and then went on the ramp, celebrating there instead of the ring, so he doesn't get his ass kicked. And in the ring, DOC kept yelling at Kurt Angle and saying that he's next, blah blah blah. And then we have Borash backstage with Austin Aries. Basically, Austin Aries says that he's going to beat Jeff Hardy at his own game in a ladder match tonight. And then we move on to the main event, Austin Aries versus Jeff Hardy in a ladder match. And as expected, it was a cool ladder match. Lots of cool spots in the match. Jeff Hardy fell so many times off the ladder. Aries pushed him off a bunch of times. At some point, they had the ladder flipped upside down. And you know how the ladder has this bar that holds both sides of the ladder together, and you're supposed to, set it down so you could set up the ladder, if that makes any sense, if you guys understand what I'm saying. So basically, they have the ladder upside down, and Jeff Hardy, tried to jump onto Austin Aries, but he fell in between the ladder, which is upside down, on that, on that bar. So that was a sick spot there. You also had Austin Aries kind of put Hardy in between the ladder and put the steel steps on top of him, on top of that, so he was kind of stuck. So Aries tried to get the title off him then, but was unsuccessful. And then at some point in the matchup, oh yeah, by the way, Hardy also went for a splash from the ladder, and these ladders they use are so they look so fragile and just not durable or anything. They look really light. They kind of wobble when they're climbing up those ladders. And so Hardy climbs up one of those ladders to go for a splash from on top of the ladder onto Aries. And when he's doing that, right when he goes for the splash, the ladder falls with him. So it was kind of lucky there. He lands the splash anyways. And in the end, well, not in the end, but towards the end, Jeff Hardy goes to climb up the ladder, and it looks like he's about to win. But then the belts raise up. They had both belts on the line, or on top there, and they raise up so Hardy can't reach them anymore. And you're like, what the hell? What's happening here? And then we see Austin Aries with the controls, and he rose them up with the controls. So Jeff Hardy goes after him. And in the end, it was a cool spot. They had like a ladder set up, laying down on the top turnbuckle, and they brought in like a sturdier ladder, a heavier ladder, which didn't wobble like the others. And Hardy set that up, and it's also bigger so he could reach the belts that Aries rose up. So Hardy climbs that up. Aries also climbs it up. And then they both fall on top of the laying ladder, the ladder that's laying on top of the turnbuckle. And if that wasn't cool enough, Hardy then hits a twist of fate on top of that to Aries onto, that ladder laying on top of the turnbuckle. It then falls, and Aries falls out of the ring. Jeff then climbs up the ladder, gets the belts, and he wins the matchup. So yeah, great ladder match, great main event to end the show. Highlights of the show, definitely the three-way match. It was very entertaining. Lots of cool stuff in that matchup, and the ladder match. So really the two matches I was looking forward to, and I think most of us did look forward to, delivered. So yeah, those were the. If I have to pick one of them, I don't know. They're both good. So yeah, I'll just say that they're both great matches. As far as my review, what I thought about the show, the rest of the matches were okay. Ladder match and three-way match were really the best matches of the night. Overall, I'd give the show maybe a 7 out of 10. It's just the other matches weren't that great to me. Really, well, actually, Samoa Joe versus Magnus was a great match. I forgot about that for a second. But yeah, so Samoa Joe versus Magnus and, the three-way and the main event were all great matches. Overall, 7 out of 10 for the show. I think that's a pretty fair score. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. In the comment section, how about you tell me what you guys thought of, TNA's Turning Point. Anyways, I'm out. Tomorrow, by the way, I will be posting up the entire DX Attitude Era Mode playthrough in one day. So yeah. Anyways, see you guys.